with Darren Hinch.
Fine.
That's life. That's what all the people say. You're riding high in April, shot down in May.
Good afternoon, and so it's come to this. Forget about moving forward. Right now, Australia is at a standstill. A hung parliament with neither Julia Gillard nor Tony Abbott with enough seats to form a government in their own right. Whether the minority government we finally end up with is a Labor one or the coalition, of course, depends on 3 independents in Queensland and New South Wales. There are other people in the mix. The National member in WA who turfed out Wilson Tuckey, and the Greens Bant in Victoria who took Lindsay Tanner's old seat from Labor. But the natural he will ultimately go to the Libs, and Bant has already made a Julia Gillard pledge. So what should happen now? Well, I believe whichever party gets the most seats should get the first chance to form a government. If Labor has 74 to the Coalition 73, then the Governor-General should invite Julia Gillard to try to govern. Give her first chance at swaying the independents. But if the Libs get more seats, if they're on, say, 74 to 73, then I believe Gillard should inform Quentin Bryce of that fact, and Tony Abbott should be given a chance to lock in the independents. If both are tied on 73, then I believe the party with the most primary votes should be given first option to secure the independents' support. Now, the usually ceremonial Governor-General now gets to wield awesome power. To add some spice to it all, Bill Shorten, one of the men who organised the coup against Rudd and the ascension of Julia Gillard, is Quentin Bryce's son-in-law. And I think to avoid any semblance of a conflict of interest, she should step aside in favour of the most senior state governor, which is the Governor of New South Wales, Murray Bashir. And speaking of the independents, I think they should canvass their own Conservative electorates first. Because in Tony Windsor's case, Labor's primary vote was only about 8%. If he backs Gillard, then he'll be tossed out by his people at the next poll. And that poll, of course, will probably come within 2 years, maybe 1. And if nobody can pull off a deal, then Australia could be back at the polls in 6 to 8 weeks. Now, it is too early for detailed post-mortems, but I stand by what I wrote for the 3AW website in the early hours of Sunday morning. I thought, and I still think, that Julia Gillard was a political fool to go to the polls so soon after the Rudd execution. She should have worked in the job for about 6 months, not only so the blood would have dried and the scars healed, but to establish herself as the Prime Minister. By pulling one on, as they say, she virtually turned it into a campaign by 2 opposition leaders. She did not have the oomph and the power of incumbency that usually translates into votes for a Prime Minister. It's something she will regret forever.